Good morning, and welcome to this first ESOC TV studio session from ESOC 2022. I'm Joanna Wardlaw, I'm chair of the 2022 conference, and it's my great pleasure to be here with Jesse Dawson, past conference chair, Martin Gischkens, ESO president, and Mira Katan, chair of the Scientific Abstract Committee. So welcome everyone, and thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. And first of all, I just wanted to say a very quick thanks to you for all your work in organising the conference. I know it's a huge task, and I think I can certainly say that everybody I've spoken to is hugely excited to be here for the first time, the first meeting since Milan in 2019. And although I must admit I had quite a bit of travel anxiety before coming within about 20 seconds of meeting so many people that I haven't seen for years, that all evaporated. And, I think I'm looking forward to the next few days more than I have any other meeting.
I mean, it's certainly been quite challenging getting here with all of the different issues that have come up and so on. But it's wonderful to be here.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we have a fantastic meeting which has been put together by our many committees, and I just have a little bit of information to share with you about that. So, first of all, welcome to the meeting. If I could have the slides. So welcome. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it is. Here they go.
Yeah. so first of all, it's fantastic that we have now passed 4,000 registrations. It's actually over 4,060 now. And we have registrants from over 107 countries. That's 6 continents. The only continent that is not represented is Antarctica. And it's been a fairly consistent relationship between the number of people registering on site and the number online. So it's about 60% on site, 40% online. So it's really important that the hybrid format has enabled this outreach. And we have some of our usual top 10 registering countries, but it's wonderful this year to see that France has a large representation, being the 5th top country. And I'm just absolutely thrilled to see that Ukraine, in fact, is the 6th top registering country. So that's fantastic. And we've had a number of initiatives to try and facilitate registration and to work with other organizations to encourage registration. We've got a fantastic program which has been put together from both the proposals that we receive through the portal, which has created a number of scientific sessions, teaching sessions, debates, etc. We have some joint sessions with a number of societies. We have also had over 1,400 submitted abstracts, and this has been distilled down into a number of plenaries, scientific communications, etc., with about 90% of abstracts accepted, and Mira is going to tell us a little bit more about that in a minute. We also have 10 industry sessions, which I strongly encourage you to attend. Just a couple of highlights to draw your attention to. So ESO is increasingly making efforts to go green, and we have carbon offsetting measures. We're contributing to a tree planting initiative. And we also have a big scientific session on reducing waste in stroke research. We have a number of initiatives related to levelling up on stroke in Europe, including particularly ways to engage with colleagues in Ukraine who've been prevented from traveling, number of videos and other activities. Other things that you can hear about, ESO resources, hearing about the patient experience initiatives in Europe, such as the Stroke Action Plan. My most difficult case and what it taught me. And so you can learn all about those sorts of things. Also, increasing ways of trying to get more funding into stroke research. I'd like to thank all of the committees who've been involved in this initiative, who you can see listed here, including particularly the local organising committee, who've done a wonderful job in setting this up in this wonderful city of Lyon. And finally, also to thank our industry supporters, without whom this would simply not be possible. So thank you very much. And I strongly encourage you, please visit the exhibition. There's some fantastic information there. And also, just to remind you, use the app. You have the app on your phone. You also have it on your laptop. All of the content will be available until August. So if you've missed something here, you can go through it later. And you can also submit questions. In any of the sessions, you can submit questions digitally if you're not here in person. So please make great use of that. And I really hope you enjoy the conference.
Thanks, Joanna. So the program looks fantastic, and I think there were two things that really struck me from the figures. Was one, the number of abstracts this year is I think it's astounding, given everything that's been going on. And secondly, the 50-50 split between men and women for lead authorship, which is tremendous. But Martin, I was going to ask you, what highlights have you seen looking through the program? What are you most looking forward to?
Well, first of all, I have to share my enthusiasm of being here, so thanks very much. I mean, it's great to be in Lyon, come together eventually. We have had a hard time to accommodate all the excellent presentations in this program, just because we received so many. I got particularly excited about the plenaries. So just to give you some highlights, for instance, we have 4 trials on tenecteplase, ACT, NORTEST 2A, TASTE and TWIST, which will be presented in the plenaries. We have trials on thrombectomy in posterior circulation, vertebrobasilar stroke. We have data on epigenetics in stroke. We have presentations on numerous topics, including emerging risk factors like air pollution and inflammatory factors. Then, of course, we have the guideline session. That will be on Friday, presenting 4 additional guidelines on secondary prevention, which you're leading, which is very important, of course, and on intracranial unruptured aneurysms, and intracranial atherosclerosis, but also on screening for AF in patients with cryptogenic stroke.
Okay.
So the guidelines, and then we have an important session, I think, on stroke care in unprecedented times and to take care of patients, but also healthcare professionals in war zones. So a lineup of exciting topics, and I can't wait to hear those talks.
And we should be able to hear, I think, from a lot of the PIs of the studies, won't we, in video interviews and things throughout the conference. So everybody should look out for them. So I was just going to pick up just on one area, the epigenetics aspect, which I know is a topic you're really interested in genetics. Tell us just a bit more about how close is that to being something we might routinely use?
Well, we have presentations both on genetics and epigenetics probably is just about to take off. We probably have covered a bit more ground with genetics, where we see that genetic findings are not only providing us with new targets that could be turned into new therapies, but also are informative for, directly informative on drug target discovery, but also allow us to even better predict risk of a future stroke. So moving towards personalized risk assessment, and with an assessment that can happen very early on, even before conventional risk factors like hypertension and hyperlipidemia manifest. So I think we are in extremely exciting times, not only in genetics, but also there, and we see it transforms medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you very much. Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, so on that note, obviously we've received a huge number of abstracts. And Mira, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you've assessed those abstracts and the processes involved, and perhaps if you have any tips and tricks for trying to get your abstract into the widest audience possible on the platform.
Yeah, so I was really excited. It's more than 1,400 submitted abstracts, and about 10% were rejected. About 15% were accepted as oral, including the plenaries or the platforms. And we had a system where we had at least 4 independent reviewers looking at those abstracts and assessing them and giving them a rating. And then based on the average rating, they were looked at to be included in the oral presentations, plenary platforms, obviously. And we had a cutoff of above 4. So it was a scale from 1 to 5. 5 is absolutely excellent. It has to be on a platform. Yeah. And so above 4 was evaluated for a platform, and between 3 and 4, it was evaluated for an oral presentation.
And can I just ask, do you get much disagreement between the reviewers' scores? Or are people generally in sort of general agreement?
No, it's actually quite astonishing that there were quite close by. And if there were some of the abstracts where there was a discordance, then we looked at it again and we discussed it within the SEC. But usually they were quite in accordance.
Okay, that's interesting.
So
isn't
that's, I think, I mean, if you sell your story well, it catches to everyone, I guess.
Okay, so what helps sell a story well?
Absolutely. So I think important also to say, you have to submit. First of all, you have to be courageous and do it. There can be unforeseen consequences. For example, myself, I met my husband in front of a poster. So, you have to think about many things. Probably you don't think about that, but it can happen.
So if you'd been on the platform, you might not have met. Okay, but how do you get on the platform?
So how you get on the platform? Yeah, to be successful, you have really to identify an unanswered, very important clinical question. You have to sell the story. It has to have an impact, hopefully in clinical decision making. So that's how you end up in a platform presentation, obviously. It's an art in writing an abstract. So you should go there and, you should also get inputs from really experienced people when writing your abstract. It has to be very structured and you have to be concise, precise. You have to convene your message really in a very clear and crisp way in order to, sell your message. And it's important really to also state your aim, your hypothesis, based on your methodology to really answer that question.
Okay.
And then, be concise in the results. And in the conclusion, you have to finally state also the importance of your findings. So I think these are really important points in order to sell your story.
Okay, so thank you. So really message to all the investigators, but particularly to the younger investigators, this is not something that you can do the night before the deadline.
Nope.
And it really underlines the importance of taking advantage of all of the senior inputs that you can get for that project. I cannot emphasize that enough. Okay, well, thank you very much. That's extremely helpful.
Indeed. So I think while we celebrate the real positives of this meeting, I think there won't be a single person here whose mind doesn't drift to the events in Ukraine throughout the meeting, and and has a real degree of sympathy and I think admiration for a lot of our Ukrainian colleagues and what they're going through and what they're trying to keep their stroke services going. And Martin, I know the Society have had some initiatives to try and support our colleagues and friends in Ukraine. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so of course we shared the concerns, and we were just shocked like everybody else at the beginning, and immediately saw the potential consequences also for this conference, and imagined how we could meet and present and talk about science in such unprecedented times. But we quickly then turned into working mode, and first of all, and you may have seen it, came up with a statement on the website, so clearly taking position towards the whole situation. And but what we then also did is we established a task force, which is now led by Francesca Pezzella, who does a wonderful job, by the way, a task force for Ukraine, because we figured we need to initiate some specific actions how to help. We spent 10,000 euros, which we handed over to Médecins Sans Frontières, because we felt this would be probably the easiest and unbureaucratic way to actually help people on site. Minor things, offering free registration to our conferences and to all educational events for the next 2 years for members from Ukraine. We also provided them with contact addresses, and we used our network that we had established through the Stroke Action Plan Europe and also ESO East and other activities, which was actually a very good sort of starting point for us to communicate and to start helping people, not only patients, but also physicians and healthcare professionals in general in Ukraine to, continue with stroke care.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And I think we all appreciate the efforts the Society have made, on our behalf as stroke physicians in Europe. And I think now we have a short video from some of our colleagues in Ukraine to give us some insight into what's been happening.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to draw your attention to the growing problem of primary stroke prevention as the result of significantly worsening cardiovascular risk factors control during the Russian invasion in Ukraine. We realize that many war-associated factors have negative impact on blood pressure, acute and chronic stress, limited access to medical care, Shortage of antihypertensive medication resulted in destabilization of hypertension in many patients.
Since Russian invasion in Ukraine, Kherson is occupied by the Russian troops. Stroke Center, despite the lack of medicines and staff, provide the full range of diagnostic procedures, treatment including thrombolytic therapy and early rehabilitation 24/7.
Dozens of hospitals, including maternity and pediatric, have been completely destroyed, and hundreds more have been damaged. In many places all over the country, suddenly, as by the wave of evil sorcerer's wand, medical care, rehabilitation services, healthy lifestyle and nutrition became unavailable in whole or in part.
Since the invasion of the armed enemies, the Russian Federation, the Stroke Center, located at the Kyiv Regional Clinical Hospital, has been providing care to patients with acute stroke, despite the lack of medicine.
This footage shows in Kharkiv Regional Clinical Hospital, where I work. Despite the fighting in the Kharkiv region and the constant shelling of the city, our hospital hasn't stopped providing medical care to all those in need.
Our emergency medical team of the Vinnytsia City Hospital with a full staff stay to defend the medical front. We are always ready to perform thrombolytic therapy to give patients a chance to live without a disability even in such a difficult time of war.
Starting from the beginning of the Russian-Ukrainian war, the stroke department of the Vinnytsia City Hospital continues working, providing full scope of services to our patients, including thrombolytic therapy and mechanical thrombin extraction.
Thanks. So I think that's a hugely powerful reminder, first of the horror of war, and war isn't just about the military. The knock-on effects on society, on healthcare, are just are just incredible, and I think that was really insightful to see. But I think it does also raise the importance of what we do in stroke care, yes, and really highlights the crucial importance for the population of all the initiatives that the society have, and in some ways highlights the importance of the meeting.
And Jesse, if I could just add, when we designed the programme last year and we had a session on levelling up stroke care in Europe, conscious of numerous refugees from other parts of the world and other things, homelessness and so on, I think we would not have expected that could have been so prescient. Mm-hmm. And I would just like to say that whatever we're experiencing now, it's not just relevant to Europe, it's relevant to all parts of the world, because at any one time, somewhere there's a war going on. And so trying to deal with a common problem like stroke under those circumstances is just really important for everybody to have some insight into.
Yeah, absolutely. No, indeed. So lots of powerful and really important things to think about, but lots of important scientific advances, and I think we should really embrace them over the next couple of days, and I'm very much looking forward to the programme and some of the plenary sessions that Martin outlined. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Thank you to Martin, Mira and Joanna for today, and I look forward to seeing you all around the conference. Thank you.
Thank you.